So I want to talk about how I feel about Johnny Depp's testimony today. Big day in court in the Depp versus Heard trial, and the testimony is going to continue tomorrow. But I just want to give you some of my observations as a layperson watching this. And again, I'm coming to this also from the perspective, I'm trying to think about the perspective of a jury member who is coming to this case with very little to no exposure to this. All right. So thinking about it from that angle as well. I felt like, obviously he didn't get into the real meat of the argument, which is Amber Heard's violence and the nature of their relationship together and then the aftermath of it. But just in terms of what he did today, talking about his childhood, talking about his involvement in the film industry and his passion for film, and particularly the effect that the Pirates of the Caribbean series has had on his life, and the way that it changed a lot of things for him, both in terms of financially but also in terms of the need for extra security. And then finally he talked about his experience auditioning Amber Heard for The Rum Diary. He was a producer on that film as well as a star, but auditioning Amber Heard for the film The Rum Diary, which is where they met, his experience shooting with her on set. And then for the first time, we heard today in court about an incident that occurred, it sounds like toward the end of the filming of The Rum Diary, where Amber Heard went into Johnny Depp's trailer and it sounds like tried to seduce him, and at least based on his account. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a moment. But overall, I thought that he laid a really strong groundwork. And, the main thing is that he really speaks in a very mesmerizing way. It's slow, as the Daily Mail said, slow talking Johnny Depp. But yeah, it is slow. I could see where for some people at times it might be a little frustrating, but what that softness and that slowness does is it really causes people to really focus and really pay attention, right? Because they're hanging on your every word. And I don't do that well. I'm very high energy, right? So, he talked about Amber Heard and how as an actress, one of the things that she had a hard time learning was, that he felt she needed to learn, was the quality of stillness. And he says that's why he had her watch the film To Have and To Have Not with Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall, because he really wanted her to get that sort of Bacall-esque sense of stillness. And if you've ever seen that movie, and by the way, this movie was a real inspiration for Depp because he really saw himself, as he said today, in the Bogart role, opposite, he's this older guy, craggy as he called himself, who fell in love with Amber Heard, just like Bogey fell for Bacall, this much younger woman who, as Johnny Depp described her, a beautiful creature. So you can really see that when Johnny Depp met her, he was just bowled over by her beauty. And, felt like this was this otherworldly, beautiful creature compared to his, craggy self, over the hill craggy self. And so anyway, but he talks about how he had her, watch that Bogart and Bacall movie, To Have and To Have Not, because, and by the way, this is why he called her Slim and she called him Steve in their text messages that we've seen. Those are the name of those two characters. But anyway, he said he wanted her to learn that stillness that Bacall has. And if you've ever seen that film, that classic film where Bogey and Bacall met, she's doing all of these sort of slow things and very still and deliberate and all of that, right? So anyway, I'm not like that. I'm like what he said about Amber Heard, that Amber needs to learn stillness. I'm very, very frenetic. I won't spit in your face, but I am a very frenetic, unless you want me to. I'm a very frenetic person, right? And so I get that. But Depp was very slow, very deliberate. You could see him choosing his words at times, taking time to choose his words carefully. And the effect that all of that had, I'm sure there were a few people that it frustrated. Like my mom, for instance, my mom was watching and she was texting me about it. And she's like, I don't understand why he's taking so long. It seems like he's kind of rambling and going on tangents. But that quality of him slowly unspooling this story, and it was a narrative, it's a story of his life, that's really important in this case because, we're not just hearing evidence. We're not just hearing testimony. This is the opportunity for this man to introduce himself as a human being to the jury. And if a lot of this case, as some legal experts that I'm watching are saying, I've been watching Legal Bites. I know there's lots of other people streaming and doing a great job, but I've been watching Legal Bites to see what these lawyers think. And of course, talking with Andrea Burkhart, who's going to be on here Friday for another wrap up. But you know, what some of the legal minds are saying is that, yes, there's a really hard, difficult, somewhat difficult technical case to prove, which is, did she commit defamation by writing that Washington Post op-ed? But a number of these people I'm watching are saying that it's probably going to come down to, who does the jury like? Who does the jury trust? Does the jury want to punish someone? And so Johnny Depp, you know, he needs that jury to like him. And he needs that jury to not only like him, but he needs that jury to look at him and to say, I find it really hard to believe that this man would go on some kind of rampage or would hit a woman or abuse a woman. And so, while it might be kind of frustrating for some people, I think it's really effective, that sort of slow, gentle way that he has of expressing himself. And it does have the quality of making the viewer, you know, really lean in, really listen. They're waiting for the next, it's almost a kind of a mesmerizing speaking style. And it wouldn't work in all occasions, in all contexts. But I think for this, it really does, because it's sort of forcing everyone to sort of slow down and really lean in and really listen to him. And of course, he's very good at inflection and so forth. Even as he's speaking in a more subdued manner, there's still a lot of a human quality there to connect with. And he's an actor, right? And I think, too, that it really has the quality also, the way that he is speaking. The more that he talks, the more difficult it is for the jury to look at him and to see some wild, crazy, abusive man who hits women. And so I think that if he were to get up there, and I'm not saying that some angry moments might not come, although I'd be surprised if they do, but if he were to get up there and do like basically the equivalent of like what Kavanaugh did in the Supreme Court hearings from several years ago, angry and everything, which I actually thought worked for Kavanaugh in that situation, but I don't think in this situation it would. It's sort of like angry, self-righteous, and this is what she did to me and all of that. This is showing us, we get to see in this testimony and Johnny Depp's testimony, we get to see how someone could have gotten into the pickle that he got into with Amber Heard. And he's telling us this long story about his mother and about growing up with a mother who was extremely abusive. He said today that you never knew when you were walking by her. I thought this was just heartbreaking. He said that you never knew when you were walking by her growing up if she was going to hit you out of nowhere. And so he said that when he and the other kids, when the siblings would walk by her, you would kind of automatically, when he'd walk by his mother growing up, he'd kind of automatically like sort of flinch or sort of recoil a bit in case that hit comes. I mean, that's telling you a lot about a person. And as I've said before, you know, I've done some videos in the past analyzing Johnny Depp and analyzing his relationship with Amber Heard from a psychoanalytic perspective. And, you know, Johnny Depp described his mother in an interview years ago as the meanest, quote, the meanest person that he'd ever met. And he said that with love and with affection. He talked about how he actually said that at her funeral in her eulogy. But I'm just saying that for a child to say that their parent was the meanest person they ever met, I'm sure Johnny Depp has met some rough customers, you know, Amber Heard's rascally dad included. I'll get to that in a moment. But to say someone's the meanest person you've ever met, that's one mean lady. And I know she mellowed in older age. Christy Dombrowski talked about that. And I know that scenario personally with my dad, who was a narcissist and mellowed some in older age. Although he was never as abusive as it sounds like what Johnny Depp went through. But that is one mean lady, and that is a lot of abuse he grew up with. And so what we're meant to understand from his early testimony in this is that he grew up with this very abusive woman, very erratic, very mean woman who just happened to look like Amber Heard. You know, blonde, similar features. I mean, if you look at pictures, there aren't young pictures of Betty Sue available, but if you look at pictures of her when Johnny Depp first started his acting career, you can see Amber in there. The hairstyle's different, the facial features aren't exactly the same, but you can see where there was a line from the mother to Amber and to some of the other women that he's dated. Vanessa. even Kate Moss maybe. So he was explaining how he had this abusive mother, and that his father was this really sweet, very laid back, very quiet, very long-suffering man. And so what we're meant to understand, I think rightly so from this, is that Johnny Depp took the pattern of his father in dealing with women, and also that he was attracted to Amber, and when she became abusive, he related to her in much the same way that his father had related to his abusive mother, right? Not by striking, not by retaliating, by trying to get away, and by occasionally, punching, inanimate things. And so I thought that was all very effective. And I thought that it was, quite frankly, I thought Johnny Depp looked really sad. And maybe it's a no-brainer that in this kind of a situation, as a lawyer, you want your client to be looking sad. He doesn't want to look like he's up there out of vengeance, or that he's up there to destroy Amber Heard, or that he's angry, or he's on a vendetta or anything. He wants to look like he looks like this is a very unfortunate thing that he's having to do. It's like when your parents, when you're growing up, if, some people say your parents will say, this is going to hurt, me more than it hurts you. Well, I'm not saying that's the case, but I think Johnny Depp still has a lot of empathy for Amber Heard. And I think that he's a private person. I think that's one of the interesting things that's come out in his testimony today as well. He talked about how he had this dream of being in a successful band and being a rock band and all that, but he didn't see himself as being the star of the band. He said that he always wanted to be, I guess not the lead singer or the front man, but the guitarist or something. But he said that he always saw himself as being in the background, right? And he said he just wanted to play music. He said he didn't even go through puberty because he was just in his room playing guitar, right? But he said that what happened was, and some of you know the story very well, he became friends with Nicolas Cage before Nicolas Cage was the huge actor that he is now. And Nicolas Cage talked to him. Johnny Depp was this struggling rocker, this struggling musician. And Nicolas Cage said, hey, there's pretty good money in acting. I think you could be an actor. Why don't you try that? So Johnny Depp talked to Nicolas Cage's agent, got hooked up with his first film, Nightmare on Elm Street, and the rest is really history. But Johnny Depp said in his testimony today that, acting in a way, it almost sounds like a kind of an acquired taste. And it sounds like he really had to psychologically come to terms with the fact that he was not going to have the musical career that he wanted to have. And I know that there are some people out there in the audience, especially, some of those not familiar with Johnny Depp as much, his career or with this case, who might say, oh, woe is me, poor guy. I had to be a mega wealthy, famous movie star instead of a rock star. But Johnny Depp wasn't saying this as a kind of a pity party. What they were trying to do is they were trying to show how over time he became really, really dedicated to, and he made this decision to become primarily invested in and dedicated to his art, to acting. And I think what they were trying to set up there is they were trying to show that this is a man who for him, acting has become it's not just a way to make money, although that's important, but it has really become his life, and it is something that he has invested now his psyche and his sense of self in a lot of ways into. And so for Amber Heard, through her defamation, through her acts of repeated malicious defamation, to take that away from him, I think that's part of what they were trying to set up there, is when we tell you, jury, that Amber Heard's actions took this man's career away from him, we want you to understand fully what that meant. That this was something that, this was very significant in a number of ways. And it was something that he had committed to psychologically with his full being years ago. They also spent some time talking about the significance of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, how it basically took Johnny Depp as an actor and a star to a whole new level in terms of financial aspects and influence and doors that it opened and stuff. Also, the need for added security. It's kind of a mo money, mo problems type thing. But I think what they were trying to set up there is a couple of things. First of all, they wanted to show what Amber Heard took away from him when she took that Pirates of the Caribbean franchise away from him. and that was a big blow. It was a big deal. And then also, I think that they were trying to also set up why Johnny Depp had all of this security around him that was so involved in his life, because a number of the people testifying for Johnny Depp are his security, right? And so, and we're going to get a number of stories from security and stuff like that. We already have with Betts. So I think that was part of it too, is trying to explain this security matrix that is around Johnny Depp and the need for it. It was interesting. We got some revelations in this. We learned about more information about the beginning of Johnny Depp's relationship with Amber Heard. In particular, he talks about, he was so kind to her in the way that he helped her to get that role in the Rum Diary. He even interceded with, was it the producer or the casting agent, and said, hey, I think you're going about auditioning her the wrong way. If you want to see if this girl can be in the film, then let's put her in a more relaxed situation. Let me go out with her. Let me talk to her. Yeah. And so he ended up, he's this gracious, kind, big-hearted guy. And unfortunately, it makes him a mark at times. And that's what sounds like happened. He talked about how, for instance, when they did a love scene together, a sex scene, if you've seen Rum Diary, it's in the shower. It's nothing very explicit, as I remember. But anyway, she was naked, and he talks about how she was unusually, I'm paraphrasing it, but she was unusually forward in the way that she acted and behaved during that shower scene. And then he says that before the movie wrapped, before filming of the Rum Diary wrapped, she ended up visiting him in his trailer, and basically it sounds like she was trying to seduce him. And for the first time, we did learn from him that there was a kiss between them, and that she wanted it. According to Depp's testimony, she wanted it. It sounds like to go further than that. She wanted to stay in the trailer, but he ended it. Said, no, you basically, we've got to get out of here. You've got to go, or whatever. But and then he didn't see her again until after he had divorced he and his wife had divorced, and after and when he and Amber were doing PR for the Rum Diary, like 2 years later or whatever, or a year or two later. So I know that some people on Twitter were saying that might hurt Depp, because it shows that there was a little bit of something, romantic, or that he sort of cheated on Vanessa, on his wife. I don't think that, look, I know there were a lot of people who wouldn't be happy to find out that their husband had a kiss with another woman. But I think that the way that this is presented, and I think the fact that also as being a minor thing, and also something that Johnny regretted and tried to and basically ended, right? They had that kiss, and then he's like, guy, we need to stop, or whatever. And then the fact that nothing happened after that. He didn't pursue her. He didn't have an affair with her. That was it until sometime later, and then it was a completely different situation, and he wasn't with his wife anymore and all of that. So I don't think that's going to hurt him. I think if anything, it's going to add to the perception that they are trying to create, that Johnny's side is trying to create, that Amber Heard, and we saw this in the UK trial as well, right? That Amber Heard saw him as a mark and studied him and knew how to go after him, and then she pursued him, and she pursued him ruthlessly, and she pursued him deliberately and enthusiastically, and was determined to get him, and she did. And then once she got him, it sounds like there was a kind of a honeymoon period where she was, and I think this is what his testimony tomorrow will bear out, that there was a honeymoon period, as there often is in these cases where people with pathological personalities marry, their marks, so to speak, or get married. And then there's a kind of a honeymoon period where the people are on their best behavior, but then slowly, gradually, and then much more, their true self comes out. It's kind of like that, Johnny Depp talked about how there were these, he talked about today and in the UK trial, about how there were these warning signs that even when things were going really well and they were in the honeymoon period in their relationship, the early period of their relationship, that there were still little things that he would notice where she would be too controlling or domineering, or she would lie. It kind of reminds me, of that saying about bankruptcy, like, how did you go bankrupt? And the answer is slowly at first, and then all of a sudden. And I think that's kind of how I'd like to think about this narrative with Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, is that slowly there was sort of these drip, drip, drip red flags, as he called them. And then after that, it seemed like it just started to really escalate. And then, next thing you know, she's shitting on his bed and everything. So shitting on his bed and rolling around in it with Elon Musk, but not at the same time, I hope. Or is that what she has on Elon? He's into feces and she doesn't want that to get out. That may be it. We've solved it, guys. We've solved the case. Elon Musk is into scat, and that's why he had to stay silent when Amber Heard stole his embryos and had his baby. All right. But anyway, moving on. Yeah, so that was today's. Let me see if there's anything I haven't addressed. Oh, Depp talked about some of Amber's friends, some of her reptilian comrades, and so he talked about Io. He struggled to get the gender thing correct, and I have a number of trans fans in my audience. All right, so this is no knock at you, but everybody's got to concede that the gender stuff these days, it's a little confusing, right? And so that did kind of, and Io takes herself so seriously. I guess here's where I feel like I can kind of make fun of her a little too, or make fun of him. Oh, fuck, I did it. Now see, I am not going to go back and edit all that out. If you want to get mad at me for misgendering Io, I did not do it intentionally. I'm not going to go back and edit that out. I don't have time. So if you're mad, you can unfollow me. I didn't do it on purpose, okay? See, I'm getting confused. But see, the thing that's confusing is Io started out in this narrative as a woman, all right? Depp's not trying to misgender him, and I'm not trying to misgender him. Io starts out in this narrative as a woman. And it just so happens that Io has transitioned over the course of this narrative because it's lasted like 1,000 fucking years. We seem to be stuck. It feels like we're stuck in some kind of a black hole of this never-ending Amber Heard, Johnny Depp, torture show. It'll just go on till eternity. It'll be like, it's kind of like in Superman is it Superman Part 2? I'm talking about the old one from the 80s, where you have those people that are like, they're frozen. I guess the remake, they had this in the remake too, right? But these people are like, they're frozen for like centuries, and then they get like thawed out to continue their villainy. I feel like this is like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard have just been like frozen in this, in this never-ending battle. But I hope it's going to reach a conclusion now. It feels like it's been forever. But my point is about Io is, it's understandable why he was confused and befuddled, and that should not be held against him at all. But I did think it was kind of funny. He just kind of got stuck at certain points with that. And to me, Io is just so pretentious with this gender stuff. I totally understand, my trans fans not feeling comfortable in your gender, and people should be free to do whatever. But Io gets on my nerves he gets on my nerves with the activism, because I know what he's done for Amber Heard and perpetuating this horrible hoax against Johnny Depp. I mean, it came out today that Johnny Depp basically gave Io a house for a year. He gave him a house for a year to work on his book. And I'm sure it was a nice house. I doubt it was just some shitty little shack. And how does Io repay him? And then also, I'm sure they'll get into this tomorrow, but Io got a lot of free publicity when Lily Rose Depp, Johnny's kid, agreed to do this LGBTQ campaign that Io was doing. Something like she was taking 10,000 photographs of queer people or something. I don't remember. But anyway, the point is, Johnny's done a lot for Io. And so for Io to have participated in this hoax, I hope that Amber Heard just snowed her friends. I would hate to think that her friends were really diabolical in this too. Although it certainly seems like they were. So anyway, we heard about that. We heard about Whitney. We heard about, Johnny Depp was choosing his words very carefully, but basically what he was saying is like, yeah, Whitney's the doormat in this relationship. Basically what you need to understand is Johnny, and Johnny Depp talked about this a bit today when he said that Amber Heard's mother, Paige, was an angel, and Amber's dad was a rascal and kind of a cartoon cowboy, which I thought was actually a sweet way of putting it, because my perception of Amber's dad is that he has been an abusive asshole, but whatever. But basically the way that I read it is you've got Amber's mom, who was an angel, and that got passed down to Whitney Heard. And then you had Amber's dad, who was this like rascally, crazy asshole, and that got passed down to Amber. And now you've got the two siblings basically playing out this abusive, imbalanced dynamic that the parents had. Not too uncommon. What else? What did I think was I think anything was not effective? I feel like they're dealing with the drug thing better in this. Well, he hasn't been challenged on it though. So that'll be the real test, is when they come in. The real test for Johnny Depp. Let's just cut to the chase here. The real test for Johnny Depp is going to be how he does under cross-examination. Just like the real test for Amber Heard is going to be how she does under cross-examination. And it seems like the drug thing, especially in the UK trial, was where they sort of managed to get under Johnny Depp's skin a little bit and got him to say some things that I thought, well, I don't think that he or his team dealt with the drug thing last time as well as they could have. And I've talked about that before with Andrea. But anyway, today, you know, I felt like the testimony about the drugs and substance abuse and stuff, I felt like it was fine. They asked him the question about the Roxys, would he ever do Roxys again? And he got this look on his face that any of us who've ever struggled with addiction of any kind, we know that look. And I'm not sure I even want to say what that look in its totality communicates, because I'm not sure it communicates exactly what Johnny Depp would like for it to have communicated. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I totally believe that I believe that he's not doing Roxy's anymore, although I really don't have any way of knowing for sure, right? But I believe that he's not doing Roxy's anymore. But I saw a little, let's just say I saw a little something in the eyes or in the expression when they asked him if he had, what did they ask him, if he was going to ever do them again, or if he had truly kicked that problem or whatever, or if he was truly done with it. And anyway, topic for another conversation. And maybe I was seeing something wrong there. Anyways, but I thought that it was really, bottom line, I thought that it was really effective for laying a foundation that they were wanting to lay. I thought that he was mesmerizing. I think that it's just a very obvious thing that the jury is going to be fascinated by this movie star. And so the more time that he can spend sort of drawing them into liking him, or drawing him into his stories, into his narrative, within reason, I think is a good thing. So I thought today, I did not feel like he went too far afield or rambled too much or anything like that. I thought it was effective, and I thought that he seemed sad, and I think that works for this. And I thought that he seemed very gentle, and I thought that he seemed like he regretted having to be there, and I think that's the right appearance. Let me see if there's anything else. Also, let me say finally, I thought it was really great. Let me tell you what I thought the most effective moment. The most effective moment of today was of Depp's testimony. And it wasn't a big thing, but in a way it was. It's when he turned to the audience and he said, I apologize for what you had to hear with my text. In other words, he was apologizing for the fact that his texts have been at various times read aloud in court, and his texts have contained all kinds of colorful language, let's put it that way, and words like and all of that. And so I thought that it seemed very genuine when he said, and he said it with a kind of a grin or a bit of a chuckle, but it seemed very genuine. He said, I apologize for that. And he said, I'm embarrassed, I'm ashamed of some of those texts. And I thought that was extremely effective. I thought that was very well delivered. And to me, that actually was the most effective part of his testimony today, for whatever reason, but it hit a chord, and I thought it was very well done, and I thought very well delivered, and I'm sure very well received by the jury. So, all right, so tomorrow I am going to be, if everything works out, I'm going to be attempting a live stream of the trial of my own. It'll probably be like completely unhelpful, non-legal commentary. Don't watch my live stream. No, I'm kidding. No, but I am. I figured, what the hell, I might as well try it. And let's see what happens. So yeah, I'll be watching Depp's testimony tomorrow for most of the day, starting in the morning, starting at the beginning, and I'll be doing a live stream and making comments here and there throughout. So check out my YouTube channel for that tomorrow. And like I said, I'll have Andrea Burkhart back on Friday. And I'll be doing commentary all the rest of the week. So if you appreciate my videos, like and subscribe, hit the bell. And as always, tip me on PayPal, Patreon. You don't have to have a PayPal account to do it. And every little bit helps. All right. Thank you so much. Go Depp. Bye-bye.